All right. So, I know people always rag on Hollywood for running out of ideas, but people don't talk about this with the video game industry enough, in my opinion. Think of how many HD remake, how many collections of things have been released in the last, I don't know, since probably like the last maybe 10 years. Because I would say a majority of video games, maybe 20%, are some type of repackaged, re release, reimagining collection of some kind.
Yeah. And video game collectors or fans will always be like, oh, it's because they're hard to come by. And you're like, no, they're just not on the newest system. If you had like a PS2 or a Xbox 360 or a PS3 or any of those systems, oh, hey, look, the God of War collection. Oh, no, I need the HD remake on my PS4. It's like, no, you don't. You actually don't, because it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. Oh
Well,
no, but
because
the
I have.
graphics need to be better. And you're like, no,
Well,
they can't get so much better. They're not going to release. Oh, we did a whole new graphics engine for this thing. Rarely happens.
oh yeah, that was one of the greatest, like, worst things about the Wii U was they never had a Zelda game. I
Yeah,
mean, they're getting Breath of the Wild, or they have Breath of the Wild, but it's they had Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess was a game that was on the GameCube, on the Wii, and then they did an HD remake for the Wii U. Like, it just seemed like such a cop out.
yeah,
Uh, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask were both brought out for the 3DS. It, like, every game is just remade, re-released, HD. I have the Sly Cooper and the Jack and Dexter HD collections for my PS Vita. They were really cheap. They were like $5 or something, and I was like, that's a lot of games for $5.
yeah. And I mean,
You
I
know?
guess I from that perspective, you're like, I don't mind that, but you're right. Like, it is something that we need to kind of start looking more into, because man, there's so many darn collections and just re-releases of games. Oh, hey, look, we need to new systems out. Know what that means? All new releases of old games
Well,
you've owned
what did
before.
what did we look at last week with for at Best Buy? What were we looking at? Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 2.8. What
Yeah.
was Kingdom Hearts 2.8? Oh, it was just a re-release of three games
Yeah,
that were like for the 3DS or something.
yeah. The random side quest of games. You're like, oh no, now we just put them all in one collection. Pay us money. It's like, it was because
Yeah.
it was like $60, wasn't it? It was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, this should
Uh-huh.
be. You're not even really like. I get the whole remaster. You paid a couple artists to go through it and clean it up. I get it. Not that big of a deal.
My PlayStation 4 collection right now, I have Battlefield, Life is Strange, The Phantom Pain, Mighty Number 9, Until Dawn, and Fallout 4. I mean, I have other games. I'm not going to sit here and read them all out. And then I have Final Fantasy X and X2. I have Resident Evil collection. I have Resident Evil 4. I have Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5 remix. Like, I'm like, Skyfall or Skyfall, yes, and the Bioshock collection. Like, I'm like, and these are all just like last generation games that they put into a nice little package. And I'm like, oh, that'd be fun to have on my new system. Like, I really like them, and I'm just like so stupid.
And I think that's a big thing that the Nintendo Switch can fall into. And I think that's something that Nintendo needs to be really aware not to fall into it. Because if they just become a remaster system, I don't think it's going to do as good. Like, you have to have reasons for people to buy things. If you just re-release the same thing that somebody already owns, people eventually going to be like, well, I'm not going to buy it because just so I can have it on that new system. I'm not going to buy the new system so I can buy a game that I already own. Like, they were showcasing Skyrim, and my goodness, we do not need a 5-year-old game being released, or like, this will be 6 years by the time it gets released, basically.
Yeah.
Then we're releasing it again on another console. People who like that game already have it for the Xbox 360 or, PS3. or PS4 or Xbox One or PC, and you're like, okay, now this thing is just becoming so diluted and it's available on everything. Oh, but maybe there's a handful of people that haven't played it before. Are you really gonna charge those people $80 or $70 just so they can get their hands on a 6-year-old game so they can play it on their system, a new system? No differences. New system. That's it.
Yep. I think, I mean, the Switch can't be just blamed if it does that, right? Like, it's not like it's the only one. Literally every system does that.
I know,
right?
but I was just saying that they need to try not to. If they're going to be successful, they need to really step away from that culture.
Last night, playing around on my Wii U, I don't know why. I must have been drunk or something. But I was playing the NES Remix collection. Those games were $5, $10, $15. I forget how much they were, maybe $15 each. And they were just a collection of old games, so Zelda, and they would have these little challenges. So they would take little elements. For example, I was playing through Metroid, and it's open the door using missiles. So it was run through a room, use your missiles, open the door, run through. Awesome, good. And it was kind of neat because it's just a collection of, I don't know, 10, 12 old NES games, and with different little spins on it. And then they'll have one where play through the first level of Mario as Metroid.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and that's cool. That's something that I can get into, because at least it's oh, hey, look, we have all these old assets. Instead of giving you the same game again, they're kind of randomizing it.
Oh yeah, and they're changing it up, and it's $15. Like Resident Evil 4, I went out and bought that day one when it came out on the PS4 because it was $20.
Yeah, and that's reasonable.
That's good value for one of the best action games of all time. I was like, why wouldn't I own that? That's great.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess it's kind of nice that you can get Resident Evil 4, or Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 all kind of re-released on the PS4, right? And actually, specifically, one of the reasons why we're talking about is today's game. One of the first times it was available to play was on one of these HD remakes. So the original version of today's game was only ever available in North America on the Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence package, or you could get the Legacy collection. So it was a collection of every single Metal Gear game all in one disc for the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I was just thinking about that today, and I was like, people blame Hollywood, and they just remake the same movies all the time. I'm like, they just remake video games all at the same time, and silly.
Yeah.
And I get excited about it. That's the thing that boggles my mind. I went out and got the Kingdom Hearts package, as soon as it came out. And I was like, awesome, great. Now I have Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on my PS4. Oh, I was like, but I also have them for my PlayStation 2 and 3. And I'm like, I actively went out and got them. Nintendo just released it was their sports collection, and you could play tennis or golf all in one game. And I was like, genius. I have golf and tennis both on my 3DS. So now I just have them on one cart. It's fascinating how I keep falling for it.
Yeah. Well, you kind of are that, you're kind of their prime demographic.
The idiot?
No, you're the person that will keep buying. You're the collector. You got to have every single one of them. And with you have a new system. You're like, well, I want to round out my collection, so I want to have all these games on it. Whereas with me, I don't really get excited about rehashed movies anymore. Just like how I don't get really excited about, oh, hey, look, there's this new Gears of War. Look, it's Gears of War. It's new. It's Gears of War. And you're like, I don't. Yeah, no. You. I played through that once. Thank you. You tricked me once. Shame on you.
Did you get the Halo Legacy collection?
Yeah, Sam. But to be fair,
how about Infinite Warfare? Infinite Warfare is coming out, and everyone's like, look, it's Call of Duty 1, but HD, and everyone's like, no. Oh, God!
No, see, what they did there is there's Infinite Warfare, and if you get the Collector's Edition, then that was the only way of getting the remaster of the game that everybody liked. And it's like, you bastards, you couldn't sell it separately. And that's what it was about, is people were upset because, I have to buy the new game, which I don't want to play, just so I can play the remaster of the old game. You're like, There's something to be said about people and just buying the same thing that they like over and over again.
That's it. It literally is just, I just want to buy this all the same time, or buy it again.
I want to experience that
Weird.
again. Can I experience that again? Here's money.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, one of the reasons is I'm like, I have my PlayStation 3 beside my PlayStation 4 so that I can play games on my PlayStation 3 instead of having to buy them again on my PlayStation 4. I still buy them on my PlayStation 4.
Yeah. Or if you do, you're like, I could buy the exact same game on this PS3 or the new one on the PS4. I'm not going to save the money and buy the PS3 one. I'm going to spend the extra money and get the better quality one on the new system. Why?
Yeah, like I guess I did buy Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, and I've been playing through it. And I when I get a Switch, I will buy it again.
Yeah. See, I'm not 100% sold on that. Actually, this reminds me of a point that you brought up earlier. So, Skyward Sword was released on other consoles other than the Wii U?
Did I say Skyward Sword? I meant Twilight Princess.
Oh, no, I just you said Twilight Princess was also released on it, but I thought you kind of said that there was no, the problem with the Wii U is there was no Zelda game. I'm like, I thought there was Skyward Sword. I understand it wasn't very well received, but
Skyward Sword was for the Wii.
Was it? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I'm making that mistake. Now that makes sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because the Wii had Twilight Princess as part of the release, and then Skyward Sword was its exclusive title.
Yeah.
The Wii U had no exclusive Zelda title. What they needed was Zelda Maker. Right, such 30th year of Zelda. I think it's this year, so I guess that makes sense. But why didn't they release Zelda Maker last year? I mean, you already have the assets. You already kind of know how to create it with, say, for example, Mario Maker. Just let people make dungeons, and you're like, I can put a bombable wall here, and I'll put an item drop here, and why wouldn't they build that?
That would, and I think the only thing that reason why they wouldn't do is because it would probably take you forever to build one. And you're like, no, not necessarily. If you could just do a quick, map blow up, and you could just grab dungeons and swap areas just by grabbing chunks of the map and having it work like that, I think that would save a lot of time. If you wanted to, you could go in and individually move each kind of make all these walls this color, make all the walls this color, but with a Mario level, it's you just got to build from right to left. Or, sorry, from left to right. And basically, with a Zelda game, it'd be a huge world.
You get a grid. You go grid mode, show the map. You can have upwards of, let's say, 5 or 6 by 6 grid or something like that per floor. Yeah. So you can make, 36 rooms. And then you just draw which room. So you can, I want to make a dick. And these are the rooms I'm going to use. And then you go into each room and say, here are the assets you can pull in, and just have a finite number. You can't put, if there's 20 tiles in the first room, if you put 20 monsters there, you might only have 4 monsters for the rest of the dungeon, right? So,
right. And I think the one cool thing that I guess you could do with that is kind of how the new Doom did with their map editor, is basically they just had pre-created blocks of rooms, and you would just place them down like Lego and attach them like that.
Yeah.
So then I guess you just select them all. I want them all to be this color. I want them all to be this color. I want these rooms to be that one. Yeah. So I guess it easily could work.
I guess in a perfect world, though, we'll see the Switch fail. Nintendo will become just a game developer. Mario Kart will be available on the Xbox, and then they will do something kind of like a Minecraftian PC / new generation of console Zelda editor that everyone can play on, because that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And dooming our poor company. I'm so sorry, friends.
Well, Nintendo will be fine. They got things to print cash. They can't even keep things in stock. Generally means that they're selling quite well.
Yeah, the NES Minis never come back.
No, I still can't find one. Still can't find one.
Why wouldn't they make more?
No, just not doing it. And you're like, so print more of these effing things, you guys. Jack them up. Be like, okay, we sold them for 100, and we sold every single one that we possibly made. Let's do another million, but we'll do it for $125. And you're like, do that. It's called business. Print money, idiots.
Jesus, we were talking for 15 minutes? We should really get into this game. I think this might be like the longest one we've had.
Yeah, probably.
Huh. Well, speaking of HD collections, we're going to look back at the Metal Gear Legacy Collection all the way back to the very beginning of this fine, convoluted franchise with today's games. See you on the other side of the break.
Raiden, turn the game console off right now.
What did you say?
The mission is a failure. Cut the power right now.
What's wrong with you?
Don't worry, it's a game. It's a game just like usual.
You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV.
What are you talking about?
Welcome to the Podtendo podcast, where we analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games. We can be contacted on Twitter at Podtendo Podcast, email us at podtendo@gmail.com, or check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Podtendo. I am your, what was I going to be called myself?
Chancellor? Co-Chancellor?
I'm your Rubik's Cube Master, Mick.
And I'm confused by Metal Gear.
There you go. And his name's Tyson.
Yes.
Awesome. So today's game, like we mentioned, we'll get right into it. We will spare you guys our banter for a bit. Metal Gear, release date was July 13th, 1987 for the MSX2, which was a home computer in Japan. The NES saw a re-release of it in June of 1988. How long to beat has this game at? 4 hours. The actual retail price was $49.99. If we factor in inflation, that would be $92.88. Current eBay price, $20 for a loose cart and $150 for a complete in-box copy. So, pretty pricey.
Mm-hmm.
What was Donkey Kong? Like 2 something for 3 of them?
Yep.
It's weird. It's weird they jump around like that. Wii eShop. So if you have a Wii, you can get this game for $5. If you have not a Wii, you can't get it anywhere. You would actually have to go and get the Metal Gear Solid 3 Substance HD remake for either the PS Vita or the Legacy Pack to be able to play this game. So it's a little bit harder to find this one. I mean, you could always use emulator, but I don't know if we should tell people to use emulators. That seems like it's bad.
Yeah.
And our sponsors could be mad at us.
Yeah, they might pull funding.
Like our President's Choice Mexican Fiesta salted triangle chips.
Yeah, we can't call them tortilla chips.
No, they're not. They're not Doritos. They're President's Choice Fiesta salsa Mexican spiced corn triangles or something.
Yep. Very official.
Very official. So there you go. You're welcome, President's Choice. Some of the development details. Kojima took over the project called Metal Gear while it was in development. It was supposed to be a modern take on a war game, so similar to probably a Contra, which seems kind of counterintuitive because, I mean, they already had Contra. Due to the limitations of the hardware, though, the number of bullets and enemies you had on the screen couldn't be that many, so he decided to create more of a stealth element to the game. Inspired by the movie The Great Escape, avoiding capture rather than combat became the name of the game. The main cover art of the game features Solid Snake holding a gun. The image looks awful lot like Kyle Reese from the Terminator promotional material. So I'll send out a picture on Twitter when you guys are listening to this, and you'll be like, "Yep, Solid Snake is just straight up Kyle Reese." So that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
The broken English in this game is the result of the memory limitations of the early MSX and NES system. Due to the MSX not being available in North America, the NES port is all we got over here. The NES version was localized for North American without the consent of the original team, which is why a lot of the things have changed. So the language have changed, the areas have changed, the overall plot not really has changed, but like the end has changed, I guess is safe to say.
Yeah.
A lot of content was changed.
A considerable amount.
Yeah, notable changes. You start off in a jungle rather than in an underwater, kind of coming up to the facility. The basement of level of buildings 1 and 2 were made into separate buildings altogether, and they removed the Metal Gear tank fight as well as the Hind D boss fight.
Yeah. So the people that localized this game were like, hey, the boss is called Metal Gear, let's remove it. Because the
'cause
game's called Metal Gear.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
Stupid. So controls of this game, I thought Snake moved pretty fluidly around the screen, and I was using my emulator controller, which I had some troubles with on Kirby, and I was like, oh, maybe it's the controller. No issues here. Like, at no point was I was like, oh, man, I keep dying because I suck. So I think it might have just been that Kirby's Adventure.
Could be.
The equipment management system was actually pretty decent for what it was. I don't want to talk key cards just yet, but I fucking hate key cards. The item drop rate was terrible. So in the other ones, if you fought someone and beat them up with your fists, they would usually drop ammo rations. In this version, that did not happen. But it was nice because as soon as you went into a room and you found ammunition, you could either go into your transceiver, go back to the original screen. That would just respawn the material, so you could just basically load up.
Yep. And you're going to have to abuse the crap out of that technique.
Yeah. And the enemies were really dumb. Really dumb. Like, the AI in this game, basically, if you're not standing right in front of the enemy, even if you're just slightly off to the side, they won't notice you. And it makes traveling actually kind of simple.
Yeah, and if they notice you when you're out in the jungle, just literally go to another screen, and they're like, oh, I lost him. He's gone forever. Like, They don't really seem to keep pace. And I think when you're in the actual buildings, you have to leave the floor. But even then, sometimes, even if you go into a room,
you just go to the next screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can have guys chasing you. Just go to the next room, come back, and they don't notice.
Yeah.
In the MSX version, they did that you would have to leave the floor once you were spotted. So there was a bit more risk to being caught, right? So the NES port that I played, I will be talking primarily about that. If you know anything about the MSX version, feel free to bring it up. But yeah, for right now, it's just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
First memories. Obviously, I've never heard of this game before. So this is my first experience playing this. I assumed Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1 was the original game in the series. And then I heard some type of weird trivia fact back in the day that it was an NES game, but I never really took the time out of the day to go look into it. So
yeah, the thing I remember is him, or like the lead character Snake, being named after the start of this episode, the escape from Snake Plissken, the escape from New York and escape from LA hero.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, then there you go.
Yeah, we talked about HD remakes here. Last week we played with or 2 weeks ago we played with the Genie guy.
Oh yes.
Because we totally don't record all these
on the same day
at the same time. Yeah, that's not a thing we'd ever do.
Yeah.
Yikes. So what was going on in June 1988? I kind of like this kind of walk down nostalgia lane. So if you're a kid of the 80s, or you kind of want to know where everyone was at in their life, the movies that came out in June 1988, Big, starring Tom Hanks, and Funny Farm were the only movies I had ever heard of. The music songs, I literally had never heard of any of those songs ever again, so I didn't take the time to bother writing them down. There was one that was called, like, Traveling in the TARDIS, the Doctor Whovians or something like that. So apparently there might be, like, weird 1980s Doctor Who fan bands that were, like, the top of the Billboard charts for a while.
Weird. Didn't think that was super popular, but I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't. Maybe I was on like some weird Doctor Who fan site or something. Could happen. Weirder things have happened.
Absolutely.
Games that came out in 1988 though: Dragon Quest 3, started on the third Dragon Quest game, which seems like a lot. Ghouls and Ghosts for the NES, so Tyson's favorite. Super Mario Brothers 3, Mega Man 2, Mick's favorite, and Final Fantasy 2.
I'm sure somebody's favorite.
Now, not Final Fantasy 4, which is actually the next game we'll be playing, which is Final Fantasy 2 in North America.
Yeah.
It was Final Fantasy 2 in Japan.
Yes.
I was hoping to catch you on that one, be like, really? I didn't know it came out then. And I'm like, ha, you stupid bastard.
No, man, this is the NES.
I'll be like the guy from, what was it, Mallrats, the big fat guy. He's like,
Yeah.
you stupid bastard. It's a boat. It's a sailboat, not a schooner. And he's like, schooner's a type of sailboat, jerk.
Yeah, idiot.
You stupid bastard. I say that occasionally. Everyone's just like, you're just being mean. I'm like, nope, just a really, really obscure Kevin Smith reference.
It's like, you need to watch more Kevin Smith movies, clearly.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now that the story is pretty light in this version, let's see if we can work our way through it. So we'll start off with the story. In order to cope with local revolutions, regional complications, and terrorist activities, a special operations unit, Foxhound, was secretly created. The unit was used for political covert operations. In South Africa, there is a heavily armored country called Outer Haven that has been developed an ultimate weapon. In order to gather information about the weapon, a member of Foxhound, Grey Fox, was dispatched. However, upon encountering Metal Gear, all contact was lost. Now, orders are once again issued to Foxhound. These orders are to trace Grey Fox's disappearance and seek and destroy Metal Gear, the one to carry out these orders in the newly recruited Solid Snake. With only a transceiver in hand, Solid Snake sets out on his first mission. And then I have a question about that when we're done. We will come back to that story because it's a lot of story. Level notes. We parachute into the jungle with our 3 friends who we never hear, see, or is mentioned again. So it's kind of a weird opening.
Yep.
Make your way south, avoid the guards, and you'll find a truck which will take you to building number 1. In the first building, I would recommend getting the gas mask, handgun, and head up the elevator. Second floor, we are searching for Grey Fox, who is a part of Foxhound unit. Mm-hmm. We're sent in by our leader, Big Boss, try and find him. So that's kind of where we're going. Sneak around guards, save some prisoners. Save the prisoners, guys. Or the hostages, I guess. Like, save the hostages.
Do not kill them.
Avoid the gas rooms. We get some bombs, missiles, and some keys. Basically, we're just collecting equipment, hostages, or rescuing hostages, and collecting card keys at this first part of the game. Make sure to grab the grenade launcher. I did not grab the grenade launcher until a boss a little later that you need to use it on, and I had to double back, so that was unfortunate.
Brutal.
Yeah. On the third floor, however, we save some more hostages, get a machine gun, find some stores of ammunitions, and our end goal is basically to be captured. So one of the trucks you can go into on this floor, a guard will come in and say, hey, freeze. He'll take you to prison. So that's the end goal. I would recommend having at least the machine gun, possibly grenade launcher, missiles, especially missiles. You want at least 5 missiles.
Mm-hmm.
In our cell, we can punch one of the walls. We find Grey Fox and we save him. So now our mission's complete. We do learn that there's a Metal Gear, which is a nuclear tank that can launch missiles anywhere, and we should take it out. So we do run into a boss named the Shotmaker. He sucks. We can hide behind some boss.
A lot of these bosses kind of suck, unfortunately.
Every boss sucks. Like, every boss is just atrocious in this game. So we can get your equipment. If you have those missiles, the little remote-controlled ones, you can stand behind the box and just fire the missiles at him. He dies. In the next area, you want to find the bomb blast suit, the body armor. There's, like, something else there. There's lots of useless items. There's, like, mine detectors and stuff. Like, you don't really need them.
Or leather gloves or something like that.
Yeah, that one I don't really understand what that is. Like, it's supposed to help you, like, open doors, but
or punch through walls or something.
But we literally, like, we get it after the wall that we just punched to get out of.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So from there, we make our way back to building 1's roof. We can use the bomb blast suit to survive the winds, collect the mine detector, fight twin shots. So they're 2 guys on little turrets. If you use the grenade launcher, they go down no problem. On the other side, I believe you get a couple card keys.
Yeah, I feel like now this is on the ruling. So those 2 guys that we kill, this is where the Hind D is supposed to be.
So they replaced a helicopter with 2 guys that just stood and fired in a straight line.
Yeah, and if you stand to the side of them and just toss grenades at them, they die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's dumb. At this point, we should be at about rank 3, and you get a rank for every 5 hostages that you save. So keep that in mind. You head to the north, you fight a tank. He's a boss, by the way. Use mines. I think it takes 11 mines to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
If he touches you...
Yeah, instant death. And
instant death.
It kind of reminds me of the Metal Gear Solid boss battle against... first boss battle against Raven.
Yes, Vulcan Raven.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of references to the Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear Solid references a lot of these early games.
Mm-hmm.
We infiltrate Building 2, destroy the Bull Tank. He's another boss. This is the guy I got to that you need the grenade launcher to kill, that I didn't have, so I had to double back through the game. I think you also needed a uniform to sneak past some of the guards.
Yep.
Even though when you have a handgun and you have a suppressor on it, you can just one-shot all the bad guys and they die, and so you don't really need the uniform.
Yeah, not really. There's a lot of items that you don't actually kind of need if you know how to get around them.
Yeah, I got really confused with this part of the game. I head to the roof. I collected cards 4 and 5, or I think it was like 5 and 6. Headed back down, saved some hostages, and then we learned something about there's a scientist that knows how to blow up Metal Gear somewhere in the jungle. If we found him, potentially we could stop this Outer Heaven. That's what the area is called. Outer Heaven, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, during our search, we find the scientist's daughter near Grey Fox's prison cell. If you don't save his daughter, the scientist actually won't help you. So it's kind of annoying.
Yes.
I think I got to class 4 here, and you need class 4 to get a rocket launcher and a compass from this girl named Jennifer, who, if you're not classy, won't talk to you.
Yeah, and you need to... I think... Yeah, she gives you the compass which you need to navigate the desert, or you end up
and
just
resets
the screen. It's not like there's a set pattern. It's not like up, left, right. Yeah, so...
Yeah, and you need the rocket launcher to destroy the Arnolds, so you can get a key card.
Yeah.
So, getting to level 4 and not killing any hostages, when you kill a hostage, you actually lose a whole rank. If you kill one hostage, I think you're okay, but you potentially could kill your game.
Yeah, and
like,
it's
there's
one
no
of those
coming
things,
back from it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, if you kill, like, 2, just reset.
Yeah, well, and hostages are even... The higher your rank, the more ammunition, the more ammo, the more health items you carry. Mm-hmm. So the better rank you are, the easier the game. So
yeah,
I guess you could, in theory, like speed run to Jennifer, get down to rank 4, and it would be more difficult because you'd have less items to carry around with you, right?
I guess so.
So I mean, I guess that's like one thing you could do.
Mm-hmm.
From here, though, we head up to. Or we head through the desert, like Tyson was saying. It's really simple. Like, there's a bunch of scorpions. I just use my machine gun to kind of mow through them. We end up at this building, and Big Boss starts acting kind of weird. He tells us, hey, calls us up and says, hey, go in that truck over there. So if you go in that truck, it takes you back to the beginning of the game. You're like, that's weird. Get in the building. And he says, hey, go to that room on the left. You go to the room on the left. There's nothing in it. Like,
there's a pitfall in it. So you're like, oh, that's weird. Why would there be a pitfall in this empty room? Yeah.
Yep, it's very, very
suspicious. Yes.
Hmm.
It's almost like he's a little drunk or something.
So if we don't listen to Big Boss and explore the rest of this new building we're in, we find a hidden wall. We find the fire trooper, who's almost a cool bad guy. Almost.
And then...
he kind of has like almost like one of those like fire spinny like balls from Super Mario. Mm-hmm. If you get beside him, you can just shoot him with your pistol and he dies.
Yeah, which is kind of sad because you're like, I really wanted one of these bad guys to be kind of a challenge, and so far it's just like, oh, don't touch them or you die and you're fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So far, not hard.
Past the fire trooper, though, we do find Dr. Petrovich, who is the doctor or the scientist. He tells us to that we have to use 15 explosives on the Metal Gear.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool. And then we want to get an oxygen tank. We take the oxygen tank past one of the sewage areas or something. Find out our friend. No, it's not Master Miller. It's the other guy. What was his name?
It starts with the SH, Schneider.
Schneider tells us he found out who's running Outer Heaven. He won't believe it, and then he dies.
Yeah, it's Arg.
Yeah, it's right. It's Arg. He gets killed. We have to fight Dirty Duck. So he's sitting around a group of 3 hostages. If you had the Nikita missiles, you could kind of maneuver him. I found a way that I was shooting my pistol past the center hostage and hitting him, and that's how I killed him.
I just went to the left slightly and just used the Nikita missiles.
Yeah. The center hostage here is the most important to talk to because he'll tell you use the left elevator.
Yeah.
Is very important.
Yeah, apparently that's the one Jennifer's brother or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We then head into the final building. We go down this very long elevator. We come to a giant supercomputer and destroy it with explosives. And you need to destroy the computer so that you can disarm Metal Gear so that you can hurt it. And then the next room you're going to fight Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Nope. Next room has Big Boss in it. And he's like, oh, by the way, I was running Foxhound and Outer Heaven. Yep.
Bum, bum, bum. That's why he was acting so drunk.
That's it. So, kill him with some missiles. Rocket launchers I found worked well. If you find that you're running out of time because there's a self-destruct sequence that comes up, take a little smoke. You get an extra 1,000 seconds. Or whatever, 1,000 units or whatever they're counting.
Yeah.
Then, if we remember, we listen to that hostage. We go to the left elevator, go up, and bum, 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 we end the game. Hooray!
Yeah. Didn't even get to fight Metal Gear.
Nope. In the original MSX version, you would have fought Metal Gear, but I've seen some fights. It's pathetic. Basically, just run back and forth, and you plant an explosive in front of him, and he dies.
So basically, the exact same fight against the supercomputer.
Yeah, except he fires missiles. Or there's a laser that shoots and goes pew pew pew, and it's kind of a challenge as opposed to just a computer where you just literally sit there and just
can't actually do you any damage.
Yeah, why it wasn't Metal Gear, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where they were probably going to be like, oh, we'll save that for the second one. What do you mean the second one's a completely different storyline? Mm-hmm. So I think it was just a bad call.
Yeah, I agree. Current thoughts on this game for myself. This game was actually pretty fun. It wasn't too frustrating once you kind of got past that opening level. I do think you need a guide to beat this game, and I mean literally. Some of the sequences when you're in the jungles, you have to go west, west, northwest to get through the maze. That is not told to you whatsoever outside of trial and error in the NES copy. So in the MSX, they have somebody that tells you that. They removed that character in this version of the game. So you literally have no idea how to get through this maze.
Yeah. And when they say west, west, northwest, what they mean is there's 2 places that if you go west, there's an actual upper west and a lower west pass. So there's 2 paths to choose, even though. So you have to choose the bottom ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
They like to screw with you.
What building was that?
I think it's on the way to 3, it's on the way to the 3rd building to get the doctor.
Because it wasn't where Gray Fox's... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because there was the final one where you fought... Okay, gotcha. From there, it was pretty good. I would recommend maybe checking out an emulator because save states help a lot. Use a guide. There's a lot of good YouTube videos. There's a couple guys I watched play through this game to help me. The card keys piss me off, though. I want them to remake this game. So the card keys are labeled 1 through 8. And you collect card keys 1 through 8 throughout the adventure. Every door is randomly assigned numbers 1. Well, not randomly, but is just
feels
arbitrarily
feels like it. Because there's times where you're like, I just used the level 8 key. The next door that I go in obviously should use the 8 key. No. You need number 1 for that. So
yeah.
Why do I have to literally go... open my menus, go up to my frickin' thing, and you select it. And there's times where you're in like a poison gas room, and you're like, okay, I just want to go to this room. And the one door you walk in is a 4, and the door you walk in out is a 1. So you literally have to check every single card. It's just such a pain.
It's awful. It's just it is just so stupid. The fact that they should have one card key, and I have card key 5, and card key 5 should open door 1 through 5.
I feel like they fixed that in later entries. So
not the rest of the Metal Gear trilogy. We'll talk about the rest of the trilogy. They didn't fix it. Not until Metal Gear Solid did they solve that issue.
Why not?
Yep.
They're just the worst.
Yep. Yes, in fact, they are. So, the other sequels of this title, I didn't want to call this the Metal Gear Trilogy because I didn't want to play the other 2 games. We might actually, we were talking about kind of beforehand, we might play the second game. Maybe not do a podcast on it. Now, if somebody is listening and really likes this and interacts with us in some way, shape, or form, we potentially could do it. Otherwise, we might just move on to Twin... Oh my god, I have a copy of Twin Snakes.
Oh, nice.
For the GameCube. I just remembered that. That just came back into my brain.
Nice.
Yeah, because I got a GameCube with a collection, and I was like, oh, I want to get this game. I have a working GameCube and a copy of Twin Snakes sitting out in the shed.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Huh. Because I was definitely looking at buying another one of those, and I was like, man, these are a lot of money.
They are, and it's literally the best version, because it's like the HD. It's kind of, they did do an HD remake for it, but
we'll talk about that. Let's just talk about these ones, and we'll talk about that one. And yeah, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. So the other sequel, Snake's Revenge, was the North American. This was an NES game released in the 1990s, specifically made for Western markets. The plot sees a group in the Middle East gets its hands on the plan for a Metal Gear. Kojima was not involved in this game and had no influence on it. However, he was upset that they didn't involve him, so he started to create his own sequel, Metal Gear 2: Solid Snake. This game was released on the MSX in Japan in 1990, set a few years after the first game. Solid Snake must infiltrate a heavily defended territory known as Zanzibar Land to rescue a kidnapped scientist and destroy a revised Metal Gear D. It has a greater emphasis on stealth and a very complex storyline. It is considered one of the best 8-bit games ever made.
Now, see, this would be the game that we would actually be considering for a podcast, because me and Mick are both really big Metal Gear fans. It all started with Metal Gear Solid, but it'd be nice to kind of flush out, or like I may not do a podcast on it, but I definitely want to play this game just so I can actually have literally beaten every single Metal Gear Solid game, which would be pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I read that. Now, I did go into Den of Geeks and was looking at their top 10 Metal Gear games. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake was ranked 9th. This game was ranked 7th.
Ooh.
Yeah, so take that for a grain of salt. So it says, it's one of the best 18-bit, and I think 8-bit games, because there is such a deep story, there is a lot going on, and they're able to do it with such, limited, with their limitations, right? So... But yeah, definitely something to look forward to. So I think I would like to play this, because I think we have lots of time before we get to the GameCube, because it's not like we're gonna be playing Metal Gear like Solid Twin Snakes anytime soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So Metal Gear Solid came out in 1998. But as soon as the PlayStation 3 came out, they came out with Metal Gear Solid 2. It had new mechanics. It was updated. It looked different, and Kojima went and they actually created something called Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. And what that is, it's an HD remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 with Metal Gear Solid 2 controls, and it basically breaks the game. So it's the exact same game, but the controls are very stiff, but you can go into first person mode, you can hang off the ledge, you have all these extra abilities that makes the game way simpler. So it's basically the HD easy version of Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, so we'll keep that in mind, and I fully acknowledging now, if we play Twin Snakes, we're playing kind of the easy version. Hell, we can beat both.
Yeah, true. And
right?
it's not like we haven't beat. Because I'm pretty sure we've both owned a
Oh
GameCube,
yeah,
and I think I've actually beaten Twin Snakes. Because I remember I remember the
and
battle against Gray Fox.
yes.
So
Well, and Twin Snakes is a GameCube, which is a Nintendo product, whereas Metal Gear would be a PlayStation. So that'd be the only reason I'd be considering kind of the easier version. Not that, I mean, sometimes we're wimps when it comes to games and their difficulties, but there you go. So that's kind of the legacy. Where does this lead? And I really thought it'd be a cool place. Might be one of the only Metal Gear podcasts that exists that talks about Metal Gear and not Metal Gear Solid. So there you
nice.
go, retro gamers. Suck it.
enjoy that.
I imagine after doing doing this and Chrono Trigger, like we have to be a very popular podcast after this. So.
Yeah, well, especially considering those are kind of well, maybe less so Metal Gear, but for people that know video game franchises, we're trying to hit all of them. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would probably just skip this one and go right to like a Twin Snakes or something like that. So kudos to us.
Yep.
Kudos to us. It was also on my top 10 list as an honorable mention because I was trying to be cool hipster and being like, yeah, Metal Gear, man, Metal Gear's cool. So yeah, that's a thing.
well, I guess we'll have to revamp that one day. This is
Well,
why I don't
now that
like top 10 lists.
Well, now that I've played it, I'm like, I don't know if I'd move it up. You know, like I
Yeah.
probably would. I mean, if Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake is better, obviously I'd probably want to put that one on there. But I guess it never really existed on the NES, so
Yep.
oh, mystery. But I also did, I guess, I should tell as I was ragging on. Remember how I was saying I'm stupid and I like HD collections? I got the HD Metal Gear collection for my PS Vita, so I'll have Metal Gear 2 and 3 for the PS Vita, and I'm hoping that Metal Gear and Metal Gear the trilogy is on it, so I can play it on a handheld device.
That'd be nice.
If that's the
I
case,
feel like playing it on the go would be the way to go.
yeah. In my mind, I'm going to I will check into that. If it's there, I'm definitely playing Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, and I'll let you know when I do that. We can make some side notes. You know what? We can even do it as kind of like a quick intro topic or something fast, or make an addendum to one of our episodes later down the line. So
Or side quest it.
Yep. Awesome.
Cool.
With that, we can move along to kind of our "Are you buying it?" section. The only the theories I found was Metal Gear Solid 3 was actually a virtual reality simulator, and it was Snake from probably before Metal Gear Solid going through the simulator that sent him back into the 60s, into the Russian jungle to do this big epic saga. And that's why when you die, Roy Campbell's voice comes on and says, Snake, no! And it says time paradox, because technically you're big boss and you shouldn't die. Metal Gear Solid, I don't know if you've ever went and tried to watch a retrospective of the story, it's very confusing.
It's insane because they literally revamp it every time. Like, oh, hey, look, there's a new game. By the way, there's this new thing that happened back in the 80s, and you're like, man, you're really just adding things to an already complex storyline.
It kind of makes sense though, because they have Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 2, and Metal Gear Solid. So there's actually 3 games with like pretty complicated nuclear proliferation story before that. Like I always just assumed that Metal Gear Solid was like man, they have a lot of backstory. It's very rich environment. It's because they're going off of 2 whole games already, right?
Yeah.
So like the Zanzibar land, you heard about that. You burn Big Boss at the oh no, I just told you that Big Boss was in Metal Gear 2. Sorry.
Okay. You also were in New Haven or something. Outer Heaven. Yeah, yes. And they referenced these 2 a lot. The other thing I was going to say was we kind of have different main characters. There's kind of the big boss character, which is in these games and Metal Gear Solid 3. And
no, we're Snake. We're Solid Snake.
Are we in 3? I thought we were Big Boss in 3, because isn't that the one?
Sorry. You're Big Boss in 3, Ground Zero, and 5.
Yeah.
And then you're Solid Snake in Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of, and 4.
Yes. And then
Raiden shows up at some point, and you're like, this sucks.
Yeah, and isn't there the other guy that you're not number 5? You aren't actually playing as Big Boss. No, you're the guy that has his face reconstructed to be Big Boss.
What?
Yeah.
I haven't played it. Don't tell me these things. What's wrong with you?
Sorry, I thought you played it.
No, I own it. I've just never played it.
Oh well. Let's just say when the game starts, you have to make a character's face. And you're like, why do I have to make this character's face? And think about that as you're playing it. So.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Cool. Yo.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of our intro into Metal Gear Solid. I'm excited. Are you buying it? We're on the Are you buying it? The only ones I found were theories about Metal Gear Solid 5. I didn't want to spoil anything for myself.
You wrote it down.
I didn't read through them. The only one I was like, could we come up with something? I was like, what the fuck was our mission supposed to be? So let's just take a step back. So we know the end goal. So Big Boss ran Foxhound and Outer Heaven. He sent Gray Fox into the facility to do something. Gray Fox got captured, so he sent us in to save Gray Fox. And I guess the mission was, let's just go at that point, like save Gray Fox, leave. Was that supposed to be the mission? That was it?
Yeah, I thought it was save Gray Fox, destroy Metal Gear. I thought that was always kind of the mission, was to get recon on Metal Gear, and then as you kind of find out, everybody's like, leave.
So
and
why would Big Boss
send you there
to destroy Metal Gear?
I think he wanted to kill you, but why would he not have sent you into a trap, like an ambush trap right off the bat? Like, yo, he's dropping right here, just have like 80 guys sitting around him, and then just smoke him as soon as he lands.
I guess that would look suspicious. Then be like, oh, that's weird that like they all knew exactly where this top secret spy was going to go.
Yeah.
So to make it a little bit less suspicious, but like, yeah, just be like, oh, there's this guy probably coming in today. Like, everyone just watch this front door. He's going to sneak in and shoot him a lot.
Yeah, it's like, just so you're aware, it's probably going to happen in this timeline. So be on your top guard. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, he lands, and then it could have literally been like, oh yeah, head east. By the way, wait for him to head east, and then just kind of ambush him, and it'd be like, oh no, he got ambushed. How would he have known?
Yeah. See, like, and I always kind of thought that it was going to be. Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, was the mission just to save Gray Fox because he was like Big Boss's friend, and then all you were supposed to do was just leave? But Gray Fox accidentally found out about Metal Gear and learned about this nuclear annihilation that potentially could have happened, and then he told you, and you had to kind of went ahead, and Big Boss was like, fuck, maybe I'll just go, kind of thing. Like,
or maybe Big Boss was running, quote unquote running Foxhound, but he wasn't the one that said that this is the mission.
Yeah,
maybe if somebody else is like, this is the mission, and Big Boss is like, oh, okay, well, I'm colonel of my squad, and we'll do it.
Yeah, I could see that.
So maybe, I don't know. But you're right. Yeah. Why? It's like, why send James Bond to go invade your anything? Why do it? Why bring that on?
Yeah, like if I have a meth lab in my house and I'm the police chief, I'm not sending Jack Bauer to my house anytime soon.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid.
Because he's fucking it up. Like, he's wrecking it. And then I'll be like, well, shit, now my meth's gone.
Yeah. Not my meth.
Yeah. So, that's our intro to the thing. I think I've said that a couple times, but I feel like we're just kind of like going around in circles.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, Tyson, did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we actually did a good job kind of getting this game's convoluted what happens across.
I mean, there was a 15-minute, like, I'm looking at the time, I'm like, oh, that's good. That's like 40 minutes of talking, but we did talk for 15 minutes beforehand, so we're pretty close.
Yep.
All right, so with closing, we're good. Big one next, Final Fantasy II.
Mm-hmm, and Super Metroid. Then after that, right?
Yeah, we'll see how far we get through, like, or Final Fantasy II. So, but that's coming up. It's exciting stuff. And then I guess we have to kind of look ahead. We've only had those games. We've had a lot planned for us by the fans and by voting. So I'm interested to see, where this takes us. So in closing, thank you for listening. You can contact Podtendo on Twitter at Podtendo Podcast, email us at podtendo@gmail.com, or check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/podtendo. The music of Podtendo was used without permission and is property of Nintendo.